Hello everyone, this recording is based on the 8th Laurence Anthony's tutorial on AntConc, and it concerns the collocates tool. And the first thing I'd like to do is to make a comparison of this collocates tool to the previous clusters tool, because they may seem to do similar things, but in fact they don't do the same thing, or the thing which is quite different. So the first task I'd like to perform is to load our Joseph Conrad's corpus into AntConc. So let me do it myself. Okay. Okay, here it is. And now, using the clusters tool, so the one that we discussed previously, there were two recordings, one on clusters tool and the other one on n-grams tool. So using the clusters tool, find all three word clusters within the with the word water, okay, and do it in two ways. First, with the search term position on the left, so the default, and then use the on the right option as well. So please do this task now. Okay, now I assume you've done it. So let me do it myself. So I'll go to clusters and grams. I write here water. And it was to be all three word clusters. Okay, so let me change the size to minimum 3, maximum 3. Press start. Okay, so these are all three-word clusters beginning with the word water and followed by two other words. As you see, there are quite many of them, and again you can sort them according to different criteria. And if we want the word water to be following two words, then we choose on, right, and press start again. Okay, now we also have three-word clusters with water, but this time water is the ending of the cluster. Okay. Now, I'd like you to do something seemingly similar, but actually you'll see that the results are different. I want you to use the collocates tool and find all collocates with the word water, with the window span set to 3 words, from 3 words to the left to 3 words to the right. Please do the task now. Okay, now let me show you how I would approach it. Okay, so let me go to collocates tool. The word water is already written here. I want window span to be from 3 words to the left to 3 words to the right. Okay, and when I press start, it shows me a message. AntConc needs to jump to the word list tool to generate the word list. Don't worry about this now, we'll talk about this soon. For now, just press OK. It will do it automatically and go back to the collocates tool and show us the results we want. So now what we obtain, the results are different. Compare these to this. So these are three-word clusters, as the name says, clusters. And collocates are single words which happen to be within the range of 3 words. And in this case, 3 words to the left, 3 words to the right. So as you see, this tool always gives you the results in the form of single words, and this would give you the results in the form of clusters. Okay, so the tools are different. And to make, I hope, this even clearer, let me give you an example, and possibly you will perform these tasks as well in order to better understand these ideas. So I want you to predict what would be 3-word clusters with the word students in the following text. So you have the text here. Okay. I want you to figure out what would be 3-word clusters with the word students in this corpus, with this small corpus of 3 sentences. Okay, so ready, steady, go. Stop the video and please perform this task. Okay, so 3-word clusters, depending how you defined whether you want on left or on right. If the default was on left, then we would have this. Friendly, intelligent, and that would be the first three-word cluster. The second would be students who like, and the third would be students are better. If the setting was on right, you'd get it like this. All my students, by my students, that my students. Okay, these would be the three-word clusters. Now, I'd like you to predict what would be the collocates for the word students with the window span set to 3 words to the left and 3 words to the right. Please do this task now. Okay, so you would get several results in this form, in such a form, okay? And these will be these 2 words written separately, one below the other, and these 2 words, these 3 words, and these 3 words. 1, 2, 3, wait. Yeah, I think so. These 3 words and these 3 words. Then these 3 words, but separately, not as a cluster, but separately. So done separately, and below by and below my. And these 3 words, and so on. If some of these words would repeat, are there any cases like that? I think the word are is repeated at least 3 times. Here, here, and here. This word would, at least as far as the frequency, would be at the top. So you can sort these results by frequency. We'll talk about this in a moment. But this word would possibly be at the top, okay, and the others would be below. So this is what collocates means. These are words that appear in the vicinity, but not necessarily directly beside. You set the window, and this means within this window, not necessarily by the word itself, like the word students is surrounded by my and are, but also words further away, okay, within this set window. So this is what collocates are. This is different from clusters, because clusters are always the words which are side by side, okay? There is no span. These words are directly neighboring each other. Sorry, I pressed it. Okay. And now finally, a bit silly exercise, but I'd like you to check these predictions we've made, because, well, this is a simple exercise to do, and I guess on the basis of this small sample of text, we may be sure that these results are correct, but just for the sake of having fun, check your predictions in Anconc. So use this text in Anconc, okay? Use your ingenuity and perform this task. I'll show you how to do it in a moment. So stop the recording and please do it now. Okay, so the way I would do it, I would write this text, no, I'll just copy that, into a simple document. Okay, I'll just write here new document, and I'll call it my truth about students, okay, and I'll paste it here, okay, I'll save it. Is it correctly pasted? Oh, yeah. I'll save it, and now I will, there is option clear all files, so you don't have to close the program, and now open files, and I'll just look for this file, truth about students. Okay, now let me see whether it's correctly loaded. Yeah, we can see it here. And now let's try to find the collocates for students. Oh, let's try clusters first. So clusters with the word students, and we wanted 3-word clusters, okay? So 3 words minimum, 3 word maximum on the left. Let's try this. So you see, students are better, students are super, students who like. and on the right are these three. Okay, and now let's try collocates. From 3 words to the right, 3 words to the right. The word there should be, the word are should be at the top, if I remember correctly. Okay, we'll do that. Actually, my is above this. I've missed my. Let me see. Students. Yeah, my, 1, 2, 3, and there should be somewhere. Where is it? Well, I don't think it made a mistake. Well, let me see. I'm sorry I got confused. Everything is fine. The times the word my appears is 3, so it's 1, 2, and 3, and the word are is actually only 2 times within the span of 3 words to the right and 3 words to the right. It is here, and it is here. In this case, the word are is further away than 3 words to the left or 3 words to the right, so it's not that. So these results are correct. Okay, let's continue. Now, is it everything? Yeah. Now I'd like to talk for a moment about, again, a bit confusing comparison between collocates tool to use context words and horizons, because there was also another one in here when we could use context horizon. There was again context horizon. So this becomes a bit complex and confusing, I guess. So I discussed the differences between clusters tool and collocates tool. Now let me tell you about why, in what way do these two tools differ from what we already discussed before. Remember, when we go to concordance tool, and actually this use context words and horizons tool is available also for clusters and collocates tool. So it is like an additional layer of complexity that you may add to your searches. But this mixture is sometimes very advanced, so let me again give you an example using the simple concordance tool. Remember, when we use this tool, we were able to add words that have to be within certain horizon, neighboring a given word, and only then the result would be displayed. So once again, let me actually load our bigger corpus, Joseph Conrad's corpus. And let's say once again, I want to look for the word water, but I want the word water to be in the vicinity of the word of, let's say. Okay, and if I add this word and I set it, let's say 3 words to the left and 3 words to the right. Okay, and now what I will get are just the word water, but in the vicinity of the word of, with 3 words to the left or 3 words to the right. So it is a bit similar to collocates, but collocates would give you just single words appearing in the vicinity, and you can arrange these words according to various criteria here. However, the use context words and horizons is about finding your individual word or phrase in the vicinity of a given other word or other words. Okay, so I know it already becomes complex, but these 3 tools are actually different, and once again, they may be mixed with each other. So this use context words and horizons may be actually added to clusters tool or collocates tool. Okay, and okay, that was a task already. I already done it. Very, very smart of me. Okay, let's go. My mistake. So no problem for you. Now, let me talk about once again collocates tool. So let's try to find the collocates for. Is it turned off? Let me turn it off. Okay. Okay, let me try to look for collocates for the word water with the window span of 3 words to the left and 3 words to the right. And in here you have, well, some of these are pretty obvious. So here is the frequency. So how frequent a given word appeared in our corpus, and this frequency is of the context to the left, so the word there appears more frequently to the left than to the right of the word water, at least within the span of three words, and this is understandable because the word water itself is a noun, and articles appear usually before nouns than after nouns. Okay, but here you have something called stat, and it gives you this strange number. Now, this refers to the statistic, which by default is set to something called mutual information. I took it from this website, but there are others in which you will find explanation of what this mutual information means. So the mutual information score expresses the extent to which observed frequency of co-occurrence differs from what we would expect statistically speaking. In statistically pure terms, this is a measure of the strength of association between words A and Y. In a given finite corpus, mutual information is calculated on the basis of the number of times you observed the pair together versus the number of times you saw the pair separately. So what it boils down to is it gives you a relative representation of how this word collocates with the word you wrote in relation to how frequent the words, I mean this word and this word, are in the corpus altogether. I know it sounds complex, but it doesn't give you just the most frequent word. This is not just the most frequent word before or after the word water, because this is what you get in here. This gives you a more abstract idea of how really this word collocates with this particular term, irrespective of its frequency. We know that the word water will be one of the most frequent words in a given window for any word, because the word there is the most frequent word in English. But because this is a noun, it is more probable for the word there to appear before water than, for example, for the word sing or for the word beautiful. Okay, so this is the relative strength of the collocations. If you're interested, you can look for more detailed explanations how this is calculated. So if I write mutual, okay, something like this, and let's say this is taken from the BYU Corpora by Mark Davis. He gives you an example of how this could be calculated. If you want, if you have time, if you're mathematically oriented, you may analyze this. It's not as complex as it seems, but there is absolutely no need for you to actually go into such details if you don't want to. But if ever you were to try to understand this equation, it's usually less complex than it seems at first. So even if you were asked to do it by hand at some point, you probably would, but obviously we don't need to do it for our purposes of this course. Okay. And finally, some additional tasks. 3 riddles for you to solve. The first one is find the most frequent adjective directly preceding the word water. Please stop the recording and do the task now. Okay, so this is the way I would approach it. I'd go to the collocates tool, I'll write water, and we want adjective directly preceding the word there. So what we could do, we could specify 1 word to the left, and here 0 words to the right. Let's try this. Okay. And we have the word, the first adjective will be fresh. Smooth is the second. Then will be salt water, but the most frequent would be fresh. Freshwater is the most frequent adjective preceding the word water, at least in our corpus. And now the other 2. I want you to find the most frequent adjective preceding the word man and set the limit to up to 3 words to the left. And do the same for the word woman. Let's see how Joseph Conrad perceives men and women in his novels. So please perform the task now. Okay, so this is the way I approach it. So I write here man, and I'll set it to 3 words to the left. Okay, and press start. Okay, so let's look at old is the first one, white and young. So men in Joseph Conrad's books are old, white, and young. So there are old and young men, but usually white men. Okay, how about women? So, woman, let's try that. Okay, we also have old, but we have poor and, well, and dying. Ooh, that's bad. That's bad. Maybe, oh, fortunately there is also young. But he talks about old men, old women. He talks about young men, young women. And he talks about white men and poor and dying women. That's not fair. That we should... Oh, come on. This Joseph Conrad is in trouble. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.